But well, hello, my baby gorillas, and you'll have to excuse the first effort. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do there, and now I am. So I'm going to deconstruct this. This wasn't where I was going with this whole conversation, anyway. But I am now going to deconstruct this conversation because this was going to make up part of it, but I have now seen it's an hour long, and I think it would be actually better me just deconstructing what Nicola Sturgeon is saying, and I can fit into what I was going to say round about this rather than actually jumping back and forward to other things. So I think this is going to be rather interesting. I mean, honestly, this thing. So, without further ado, let's crack on with this little beauty. And El Shifa. Let's have a wee look at what is going on here. So this is Heather Dave and somebody else, El Shifa from Turkey, talking about stuff at the International Book Festival in Edinburgh. And Nicola Sturgeon and Heather McDade and
hello everyone, welcome. My name is Elif Shafak.
Elif Shafak, sorry, apologies.
One of the series of debates that I will be curating this year at Edinburgh Book Festival. And when Nick Barley...
She seems like a really nice person. I have to say, like the Persians and all the Persians I met, even the Arabs, all really very nice people on an individual basis. So me slamming them just now is not me slamming them as bad people. I think she seems absolutely delicious and delightful as her personality. But I will be slamming them anyway, don't worry about that.
And his fabulous team asked me to be a guest selector this year. I felt a guest curator.
This is a bit
I felt
waffle.
very honoured. And afterwards we had lots of discussions, brainstorming, talking about what are the issues that we want to raise, that we want to share with the audiences, explore. And we always came back to this question of there's so much happening in the world today, and we're living in such liquid times of uncertainty. And there's so much anxiety, anger, fear in the air, everywhere you go.
I think this is them talking about the Muslims that have been let into Europe by the globalists like wee Nippy here. And that wee Nippy has now managed to get 3 Scottish people killed by her multi-culti. Let's not offend anybody, but it's okay for Muslims to come in and rape and murder us. But look how intensive she's looking there. Look, we'll get to the fact that Nicola Sturgeon might be an alleged lesbian in a sham marriage in a second, and lying to us on an industrial scale. She's going to prove that she's lying about the SNP being a nationalist party. When I'll go into the details of what they actually are now.
Go east and west. And what happened in Barcelona is...
Don't forget, let's knock it down here. The Turks are not from Byzantine, or I think they called themselves Romans, but they're not from Turkey. They're from Turkmenistan, which is a different country in Central Asia. When they came, they killed all the Christians, and the Turks have now corrupted the Orthodox Roman church, which was one of the I think it was one of the wonders of the world. Not that I'm a Christian, in Constantinople, now called Islamabad or some, I don't know, I think it was based on some child rapist death cult. So this woman, although she's speaking very empathetically, the Turks murdered, raped and enslaved. The harem was actually a Muslim rape pit for European women. That's why the Slavs were called the Slavs, because and thanks to the Polish, the Hussars fought back against the invasions of the Turks into Europe at the Battle of Vienna. So she is very much the plausible face of barbaric Islamic traditions in what was Byzantine, who committed genocide against the Christian Armenians. And the harem was a rape pit for slaves who were enslaved by the child rapist death cult Turks, and they were taken back to Constantinople and raped by the sultans. The harem, which I always thought sounded exotic, was actually a rape pit, a Muslim rape pit for, just like it's what's happening in the UK now, a Muslim rape pit for non-Muslims. So let's find out what this woman is actually saying.
Today, this heartbreaking, horrific, the cruelty.
Don't forget, I think this is after the Barcelona bombs that the Muslims blew up, non-believers. They've already burnt down, thanks to the globalists like Nicola Fishlips, burnt down churches all over the Europe now. They're just letting them in to burn them down. We've got a Conservative Party who, in the middle of a pandemic, is ferrying people across from France, which is not a war-torn country, and housing them in hotels all over the UK, which could be increasing the pandemic, and which is now going to one company. Remember, I was talking about corporatism, going to one company, billions of pounds, and billions of pounds have gone to these hotels of our taxpayers' money under Boris Johnson. So there's no real change in Boris Johnson, maybe the right wing of the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party are a corporatist globalist party, and the only thing that they're interested in is fleecing their own pockets with taxpayers' money. They are a corporatist party. Until you stop voting for the Lib Lab Con Party, the Greens, the SNP, all of these parties are corporatist globalist parties. Not one of them is any different. Wee Nippy, as she's going to explain, is upset. Oh, I'm upset that we get called the Nationalist Party. What she is just a globalist shill, like Oprah Winfrey. There's InfoWars talking about Oprah Winfrey and her talking about sexual abuse while she's pals with Epstein. And oh my God, honestly, it just gets deeper and deeper. But this woman is coming across very empathetic. I don't think they were very empathetic to the Christian Armenians when they actually took them out to the desert and murdered them all. Raped them as well. Rape is obviously a big thing in Islam.
Of the attacks we've seen in Manchester, London, Berlin.
Glasgow now. Glasgow, they tried to blow up Glasgow airport now. Some Muslims stabbed 3 people in Glasgow. I've not seen. I can't remember the last time there was a triple homicide. The last time was probably when the Muslims tried to blow up Glasgow airport. And now we've got 2 Scottish Pakistani Muslims saying there's too many white people in Scottish roles. The most racist thing I've ever seen in the Scottish Parliament. And this is where I was going to come to, but I'll come to that separately now, because I'm a alleged lesbian, Nicola, I've got no children, Fishlips, who has now managed to get 3 people murdered in Scotland and cover up mass rapes by Muslim rape gangs, is now going to tell us that she might well be a lesbian.
Istanbul, Baghdad, Nice, Paris.
And apparently a lot of Kurds are now turning to Christianity against the Arabs and against the Turks as well. Apparently that's the new fashion amongst the Kurds. They're a bit upset. I was seeing a guy on TikTok. They're a bit upset the brutality of Islam. That Nicola, I want diversity. Sturgeon, I'm a Scottish nationalist. is trying to do in the UK and wanting to be governed by 20 unelected commissioners in the EU. So, not really a nationalist, Nicola, are we? You'll soon find out that.
And I think at times like this, when there's so much is happening,
yeah, well, there's a lot of happening. It's been happening for 1400 years under Islam. The Crusades were pushed back, but they didn't push back hard enough. You want to deprive them of land and space.
Fast. We need new narratives.
Yeah.
We need.
And a narrative is to knock down the mosques in Scotland. That's a good narrative to start with.
People who give us hope, who give us.
Islam doesn't give us hope. Islam, like we fish lips there, is an authoritarian. And we fish lips and Islam, that's why she's got a member of a child rapist death cult as her justice secretary, only believes in authoritarianism. So we Nippy, even if because she's a woman, being a woman in itself is not an ideology. What we Nippy is an authoritarian, and you can see by her face she's starting to look like Palatine, the leader of the Sith.
Vision, and who bring a better approach, an approach that depends on not only the mind but also the heart and conscience.
See this overly emotional stuff that the women are doing. The heart has got nothing to do with that. What you have to do is actually have things that are competent. You want competent politics, not touchy-feely, that's great. If you want to do that sort of thing, do it in your own time.
And I frankly think we need more women to express.
Why? Well, not in itself. Why? Why is being a woman? It's not being a woman that's the thing. It's what the woman thinks about and what she is. Nicola Sturgeon is going to be a classic example of a failed female in politics. Although she's been successful at the ballot box, her track record is going to show that she wasn't a successful politician.
Their opinions.
Why are they clapping that? That's great. We need more women. For what? Why? On what grounds do we need more women? What is it that you're bringing to the party?
So I feel very, very privileged, very honored to share this stage with two such women who give us.
See, this is just playing to the gallery. We need women. For what? What is it that we need women for? I'm not saying we don't need women, but women seem to be reneging on the childbearing situation. We've got a alleged lesbian First Minister who is not had any kids, not surrogated for any kids. I don't know about her medical history, so that's irrelevant. But if she is a lesbian and she's in a sham marriage and we've got a declining birth rate, then that's an issue. That's an issue. I didn't think I was all very much for the LGBT community being involved in politics. But if you're trying to homosexualise heterosexual people and you're not producing any kids yourself, then it then becomes a fatalistic and it becomes a decreasing population.
Hope, who give us vision, who come with a new narrative.
Well, I don't think Erdogan's come with a new narrative. Apparently, France and Egypt is now standing against him, what his ambitions are in Lebanon. Now, I think that's a very difficult politics down in Lebanon. I'm not quite sure. I can understand roughly what the sides are, but I don't know who would be the good guy and who wouldn't be.
I think this is a time when women need to talk louder and bolder. And we're going to do things a little bit differently. It's not going to be like one of us asking questions to the others. We will be free to ask questions to each other, to comment on each other's words. And we're also very much looking forward to your questions at the end, your comments, your critical remarks. Of course, Nicola Sturgeon needs no introduction.
Yeah, she's useless. Useless. Children dying in hospitals, another 3 people died in Glasgow because of your policies to get non-asylum seekers into Scotland, to ethnically cleanse the indigenous population, to pull down our statues, to have a Justice Secretary who is a member of a child rapist death cult, to cover up fake asylum seekers' mass rapes of children in Glasgow now, not even talking about down south. where the Tories are covering up the actual petition for the Muslim child rape gangs.
Minister of Scotland, a worldwide public figure, but I think
Shit.
We should also emphasize that her very presence, very existence as a successful politician.
She's not successful. See, this is the thing. She's not. She's politically successful, but she's not successful as the First Minister. She's not going to be well thought about in years to come when people reflect on her record.
Sends a very strong message to women and young.
That's great. Don't be like Nicola Sturgeon. Be a successful leader, not like Nicola Sturgeon.
Not only in this country, but beyond the borders of this country. So I think it's very important that we have successful, high-level
Marxists,
female politicians, decision makers, speaking in the public space. That message, especially for young girls, I find very, very crucial. Heather McDade, whom I have met before I've met personally, I've met her through her work. This amazing, wonderful, very timely, very bold, playful at the same time, diverse anthology of women's voices, Nasty Women, which she edited with Laura Jones. And I admired both the courage in that book, but also the honesty, saying this is who we are, we're here. And we have lots to say to the world.
I know, but there's lots to say in saying something that's meaningful. I mean, you can have a lot of platitudes and they don't actually mean anything. And you can say something that's positive and productive. The fact you've got lots to say doesn't mean it's actually constructive and meaningful. You just have to take Nicola Sturgeon.
I have a little confession to make, if I may. I need to get it out of my chest. I have led a very nomadic life since my childhood, and I have been asked several times, did you ever have a culture shock when you went to a country, a new city? And I always said, no, I didn't, I really didn't have a culture shock. I don't remember such an experience. But today I am having a massive, massive culture shock. Because this morning I woke up and I said to myself, my God, I'm going to be on a panel with Nicola Sturgeon, Heather McDade, and we're going to talk about books. We're going to talk about women's rights. We're going to talk about feminism, the state.
No women's rights in Islam.
Of the world. You see, I'm not used to such things. I come from a country in which political leaders don't talk about such things.
Because Islam suppresses women's rights, that's why they don't talk about things in Turkey, which was Byzantine.
I come from a country, from a land where political leaders do not read books.
They read the Quran and they know what the Quran says to suppress and rape women.
They don't talk about novels. They do not endorse women's rights.
Yeah, because Islam doesn't endorse women's rights. If I was an actual misogynist, I would probably be Islamic. If I was to actually base that. It's funny how wee Nippy there doesn't understand that her Justice Secretary, by being part of a child rapist death cult, in 10 Muslim countries would kill her if she is a lesbian, and another 10 or 15 would actually imprison her for life.
And in fact, they do the opposite, and they certainly do not endorse LGBT rights.
Yeah, because it's haram. Haram! I don't know what it is in Turkish, but it's haram in Arabic. So wee Nippy there would be dead. But she's allowing fake Muslim asylum seekers because the Conservative Party have signed up to the Barcelona process, the Union of the Mediterranean, and now the UN Compact in Marrakesh, to allow these people into our country while robbing the taxpayer by putting them up in hotels, illegal immigrants who are fake asylum seekers. I didn't know there was a war in France. Why would you be seeking asylum from France?
And they certainly do not say, I'm very proud to take part in the Pride March. I will be participating.
Haram, haram! You are taking part in the Pride March? Is it? I was actually down at the Pride March. I've got very much support LGBT alphabet people community, even though the wee Nippy is actually a part of the gay and lesbian fraternity. I'm not sure if the gay guys actually are really that keen on her, but I'm not sure if some of the lesbians are keen on her. But anyway, but the fact is that we Nippy is now importing people. They would follow a child rapist death cult. They would throw her and the LGBT community off the minarets. If they brought in Sharia law, they would actually suppress wee Nippy, who's now got a justice secretary who is actually part of that community. I mean, you have to do some fucking mental gymnastics to actually be able to understand this mental logic. I don't know, does she expect young men like me to protect her against the Islamic hate mob? Oh, God.
So I think I am going through that culture shock, and I want to start with that.
I bet it's a culture shock. I bet there's no LGBT parades down anywhere in the Middle East. Down in downtown Beirut, LGBT, let's take these bastards out. Yeah.
If I may, how difficult is it to be an unconventional politician in a?
She's not an unconventional. She's a Marxist.
World like politics.
Well, to start with,
oh, how annoying! She's just starting to really get to me, grating me. Yeah, how annoying! Nobody's interested, Nicola.
The positive, I guess.
There's nothing positive about you. You're a wee doer-bism.
Encouraging thing is the kind of approach to politics and to public life that you've just described.
What you describe is now actually criminalising white men, because obviously being an alleged lesbian, that you've got a big problem with white men having penisophobia, not managed to produce any children. You'll now die, I don't know, with your lesbian lover, probably you and Joanna Cherry, are now probably just going to be two old lesbians, when your legacy will be left with really bad policies that like getting people to chaperone children, having guardians of other people's children, and now you've got this race anti-white male bill, which probably explains why you're a lesbian anyway. Seem to want to bring in other people to replace us because you've not managed to produce any children. It's hard work, this.
Is thankfully in this country becoming less unconventional. Thankfully, we now have leaders, and I will say this openly, across the political spectrum who not just endorse women's rights but actively campaign for women's rights.
I'm very much pro women's rights, but I'm not pro. You don't have women's rights. You're wanting women's supremacy, female supremacy, which also would go into the fact that you're a lesbian and hate guys anyway. So that would probably explain why you're bringing in a Marxist doctrine, which I'll get onto later on, a Marxist doctrine from the Jewish Question, which was written by Karl Marx in the a third way through the 19th century, that you have protected classes. Well, the protected classes in the Jewish Question was the Jews. Now, I don't know what the suppression was of the Jews, but now you've expanded protective classes to mean anybody other than white males. And you're going to put white males in jail for 7 years if you get your hurty feelies. I'm telling you, Nicola, this is a big problem. When the Jewish Question, and obviously Karl Marx was a German, came in, that was the 19th century. By the 20th century, there was gas chambers for the Jews. So you better watch what you wish for.
I'm very proud we're now one of the many countries in the world that celebrates the fact that we have equal marriage, and tomorrow I will take part in the Pride.
You're probably the leader of the Pride community, being a wee lesbian yourself. I mean, alleged. And the fact is that that probably explains why one of the first things that you're talking about is homosexuality. But unfortunately, just now there's a big problem with homosexuality. Like you, a lot of homosexuals don't produce any children. So we all follow your lead, and like Joanna, who's a nasty wee bism, Cherry, that none of you are producing any children. So if every woman, if you're the example for even heterosexual women not to produce any children, we're having a declining birth rate. No wonder you've got to bring in people to replace us, because even heterosexual women are now following this LGBT, not producing any children, lesbianism, feminism, which is Marxism. you're not actually producing any children. So you'll be dead in a few years, just probably like me, and you won't have produced any children. So your line for hundreds of thousands of years will now die out because of your potential sexuality and the fact that because you are probably been born a lesbian, allegedly, that you'll actually die out now. All of the sex and everything else, and all the hard work and the everything else that's been put in to make you, in a number of years, you're dead, and that's your whole ancestry finished.
March in Glasgow, we have across the political spectrum politicians who are much more willing now to challenge intolerance and.
Oh, intolerance! Oh, intolerance! Oh, well, maybe you shouldn't be tolerant of Muslims who are now literally killing us on the streets. Maybe you should be intolerant of Muslims who are raping children in Glasgow now. Oh, but you're tolerant of the intolerance. Are you just intolerant of white males because
prejudice and to speak out against?
Oh, that's good. You've got everybody else. Oh, you're only intolerant if you speak out against women because I'm a lesbian, allegedly, and I don't want my feelings hurt. But I don't care if Muslims are coming in and raping and murdering you because we've got a multicultural agenda going on. Pathetic.
For example, what we've seen in the United States over the past few days. So that's the positive, and I think we should celebrate that. And that applies to women and to men in politics.
I don't celebrate anything you've done. You've been an embarrassment to this country. You've not produced anything, not done anything, no big policies. Your only policies are for the globalist agenda, ethnic cleansing through the use of mass immigration, and getting back into the undemocratic EU where 20 unelected commissioners are dictating our legislation, while at the same time MD criticised as being cancelled, while you're allowing Muslims to rape and kill us now in this country because of your agenda.
I suppose the less positive is we've still got a long way to go. I think we need more voices challenging prejudice and intolerance.
I think we need more voices challenging you because you are stupid. Think for intelligent women, I understand you're a lawyer, you've got a good track record. I think you're an idiot in the fact that you're allowing certain prejudices, and I think you're very authoritarian. I mean, George Galloway called you out for being authoritarian as well. I think this, I'm dead tolerant, I'm dead, oh no, blah, 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 blah. You're the most intolerant person I can think of. This new hate speech legislation is a direct a threat to freedoms in Scotland, and it's you because you are a globalist, you're a globalist shill, and that you are actually following the people replacement agenda. And the fact is that you are probably the nastiest wee person I've ever seen in Scottish politics, especially the head of Scottish politics. I have to say all the other men have been a lot better than you. Even the Labour Party guys have been better than you. You have massively gone downhill, and I voted for you. You've gone massively downhill in your agenda, and it's now becoming obvious.
And bigotry, I still think for
you're a bigot. If you want one law for you and one law for somebody else based on your sexuality or your gender or any other characteristics, you're the bigot. That's what happened from the Jewish question. You're the bigot, Nicola. Have a look in the mirror.
The progress we've made.
You haven't made any
women,
progress. You're an idiot. You haven't made any progress. The only progress that you think you've made is in your head. The fact of women being in for the sake of being women and not being the best person for the job, it doesn't, or anybody else, not being selected on meritocracy and just being selected in arbitrary characteristics is a recipe for disaster.
And equal rights for women, we've still got such a long way to go. We now have a situation where, in theory, in this country, women can do pretty much anything.
It's not theory. They can't do anything. And the fact that you've just decried women all over Scotland for saying in theory, in practice, women can do anything they want to do. I'm very supportive of women. I love women. I think that women have got a worse attitude with me than I do with women. I would certainly help women. I don't think women would help me to a greater extent. I think women have got a stinking attitude. I think women need I think a specific type of woman need a personality check.
But in practice, that's still not the case, because we've got
you as your First Minister, and you're shit. You're shit. Your track record is going to be an embarrassment. If I went and dissected what you've done over the period of time, comparative to Alex Salmond, who you're now hiding what actually happened with the Alex Salmond trial, which you look like you have been involved in. A guy that mentored you to get you to the stage you're at, and because you're such an ungrateful little character that you've actually done what you've done to him. The chickens are coming home to roost. I didn't know if it was Nicola or the Unionists that had done it. Looks like it was Nicola. What an ungrateful little shit.
Attitudes and systemic institutional barriers to women.
You're the First Minister. What barriers? How far can you get? How much further? We've got a female Queen. We had a female Prime Minister. Absolutely shit. We've got you shit. We've got some leader of Ireland. I think was Northern Ireland was a woman, and the leader down in Wales. I think one of the heads of the party, and they're not good. They've not been as good as the men. You're not as good as Alex Salmond. You've been so ungracious that you backstabbed Alex Salmond and you put him in that situation. I don't need courts or anything else. I already know, because I have a political gut feeling about this, that you are covering up the fact that you stabbed Alex Salmond in the back and the front after him helping you get to the situation you are. That shows you what an ungrateful little shit you are.
Women achieving all the same things and pursuing all the same dreams as men. So
is it? I'm so hard done by. I'm the First Minister. I can't believe these men have held me back. I might get my mentor up in sex charges. I'm feeling really held back. My life is really difficult. I don't know. I don't know how much further. I would like to be an astronaut, but yeah, these guys are holding me back. How further do you want to go? You're the First Minister of Scotland and you're shit. How further do you want to go? What are the patriarchy holding you back for? This is Marxian terminology. And the fact is that Nicola Sturgeon is actually, I think, a Marxian scholar. And Marx was a scumbag. 100 million people died under Marx's principles. And now we've got, I'm so oppressed. You're the First Minister of Scotland. Do you want to become the First Minister of the UK? What is it, Nicola, that men have held you back from? Utter shit.
I'm a politician. You're
not. You're a professional whinger and a professional lesbian activist and Marxist.
Here and pretend I'm some kind of paragon of virtues.
We don't think that at all. We think you're a wee sneaky shit, and we think that you stabbed Alex Salmond, who was much better than you in the front and the back. Why are you covering up the documents that were required for the inquiry into what you did?
Politician, because that doesn't exist. I indulge in the same behaviours as many other politicians.
I don't think we're all lesbians, allegedly.
We're susceptible to spinning things.
Like Alex Salmond's trial.
From time to time. But I've always tried, not always succeeded, I hasten to add.
No, you've not succeeded. So this is the point. We've got you as a woman, and it's not the fact you're a woman or a lesbian that's the issue. It's the fact that you, Nicola Sturgeon, have not succeeded. Completely correct. That's it. Nicola Sturgeon has failed as a First Minister.
Always tried to speak from the heart, and
nobody's interested about your heart. We want you to get your head on the game. I mean, you're a lawyer. I mean, you must be academically intelligent. I can't believe that we've got somebody of, well, I don't know how many is 5A hires or whatever it is to get into the university, and you've done such a bad job. Obviously, academic success does not guarantee us somebody that's going to be good actually as a First Minister. Nobody's interested in your heart. We're interested in clear, concise policy.
To say things that I believe in, I couldn't,
Nobody's interested in what you believe in.
How much diplomatic turbulence it may cause, I could not have made myself stay silent this week in the face of Donald Trump's comments.
Donald Trump is 10 times the politician you are. And the fact that you don't understand it just shows how embarrassing you are to this country. Let me repeat this. Donald Trump is 10 times the politician you are. Alex Salmond is about 7.5 times the politician you are. So you are not as good as these two guys that you are adversely critiquing. No, you're not even a snail on their bottom. And the fact is that you're that delusional, and I think you're an intelligent woman. I don't think you're unintelligent, but I think you're that delusional that you don't even see that.
In the United States, and I just couldn't do that.
No critical thinking. Oh, great.
Speak from the heart, and
nobody's interested.
And stand up for what you believe in. And
what do you believe in, Nicola? We're going to find out this very soon. Very soon. I can't. This is why I got this up. Very soon we're going to find out what you believe in. And so we think you're an alleged lesbian who hates men, white men in particular. You've got a thing called penisophobia. Now you want to bring in increasingly authoritarian, horrible wee nippy sweetie hate speech rules, which is basically Marxian in principle. The fact is, you've got protected classes. What a disgusting concept, also coined by Marx in the Jewish Question. What a horrible wee gremlin you are.
I just take the view in politics, if you're not prepared to try to do that, accepting that at times you will fail. We're human, and politics is politics, but if you're not...
There's no tolerance in Islam, nippy. You'd be right off the minaret and getting stoned at the bottom.
Prepared to have that as the principle by which you try to live your lives, then...
What is your principle you try and live your life?
In politics, go and do something else.
Yeah. Heather, we mentioned Trump. It's almost inevitable not to...
Yeah, much better than any of you on the stage. Much better. 100 times better than any one of you, especially wee nippy as a politician. Highest number of black, Hispanic and women into work. Certainly not like you, wee nippy. Couldn't run a piss up in a brewery.
You mentioned his...
like you're giggling. This is the President of the United States, our biggest ally, and you've been acting like an absolute clown.
Response, or his lack of response after Charlottesville, of course, was very problematic. And
was it problematic? What was problematic about it? Because the communists, like wee nippies, try to pull down statues of historic monuments, like the Nazis did in Germany, like probably you've done in Turkey, by turning a Christian church in one of the greatest Christian churches in Christendom into a child rapist death cult mosque.
Fully agree. I admired your comment.
Did you? I don't admire anything about her. Don't admire anything.
When you said there are things that are too fundamental,
Yeah, like fundamental, like Islam, and like the child rape. When women get raped in Dubai, UAE, Bahrain, Saudi, they get whipped and lashed. Just like the harem in Turkey used to be a European rape pit for Muslims.
Diplomatic silence. And when I look at the way you triggered the publishing, especially the publishing of this book, would you tell us a little bit about that, the whole journey? Because there is a journey behind it. And one of the things I admire about that journey is you brought in so many people. It was supported by so many readers from the civil society. Will you tell us a little bit about that? And why now? Why did you feel the need to publish such a book right now?
Yeah, so we published Nasty Women, which is an essay collection on what it is to be a woman in the 21st century. And the idea came around the day after Trump was elected, to watch someone run on such a misogynistic, racist and generally hateful...
Oh my God, so we've got wee nippy got somebody that's just using all the buzzwords. Oh, another communist. I don't know if she's a lesbian as well, but it's very interesting. I don't know if Heather has had any kids as well, but just using communist buzzwords is just absolutely staggering to me. Staggering. Highest number of women into work, Heather. Just so you know, so highest number of black and Hispanic people into work as well, Heather. So he can't be that. He can't be doing a very good job as a racist.
Full campaign was horrible, but to watch him win, like the next morning, everyone was kind of deflated, and
all the Marxists must have been absolutely gutted. Absolutely gutted. Wee Nippy must have been pulling what's left of her hair out.
Knew what to do. And Laura and myself, we had this idea, and we just thought this could be a way to take something that he said and give a platform to the kind of people that he's trying to silence.
And he's trying to silence people, is he? Oh my goodness, I didn't know that. What is he silence? Apparently he's allowing a bunch of communists and Antifa to burn down cities all over America. 73 days of rioting by Antifa, a bunch of anarcho-communists. Aye. Carry on, Heather.
Idea, and we had to run with it.
Is that Heather? Honestly.
On Kickstarter, and we were looking for £6,000, and within 2.5 days it was funded. And
I'm sure it was a riveting read.
By the end of the month, we had £22,000 to support of like Margaret Atwood, which still feels
probably. Wee Nicola Fishlips, they are actually sponsoring it. It's the LGBT community sponsoring each other.
It's a bit weird to say, but but I think the reason it went so well is because it struck a nerve. Like, what do you do?
Did it struck a nerve of women talking shit? Someone
like Trump, and for me and Laura, we're just two women in a spare room, and for us, it was making a book and giving a platform to other people, and for.
Is it? Did you give a platform to all the black, Hispanic and women that got into work?
For other people, it was backing this book and actually almost solidifying the fact that this platform was needed. So I think that's why it went so well, because like with something as all-consuming as Trump, where do you even begin? And if
I don't know, but I would begin with Wee Nippy trying to silence people and put them 7 years in jail for hurty feelings. Look at the state of
the beginning is reading other people's stories and going.
Yeah, Donald Trump wasn't doing that. Donald Trump actually helped black. I don't like using the word black. Afro-Americans to actually get out of prison, give them a second chance. Wee Nippy, look at the state of her face. Look at her. She looks like a wee beady authoritarian. Oh, these girls are lovely. Oh. Give them a second chance. And she's looking at her like, you better watch, you'll be in the gulags.
I'm not going to kind of support this. That was our idea and our starting point for it.
Well, I bet that's a riveting read. I can't wait to read it.
I remember years ago when
the Greeks were getting put out of the country back to Greece, and you'd stop raping Southern Europeans, and you'd killed all the what was the name of they converted these Europeans to the child rapist death cult. What were they called? From Southern Europe to fight against the Christians, and then they killed them all. What was the name of them? What was the name? Turks. The Janissary. So they took young boys from Europe and then they Islamified them and made them part of the child rapist death cult. And then they made them fight against the Europeans, and then the Sultan brought them back and slaughtered them all. Carry on.
Living in Istanbul.
Constantinople.
A well-known scholar came to visit Istanbul.
Was he a member of the child rapist death cult?
From America. And she said to me, it's very...
Was it Ilham Omar who's managed to get Minnesota looking like Somalia without even being born there? Wow.
Understandable that you're a feminist because you're
a communist. The infiltration from Black Lives Matter to feminism to Antifa of communism and the communists to Gamergate to knitting circles to the cancel culture, that the communists and nobody stood up against them. The fact that you're saying you're a feminist in a misogynistic culture, and it's the most extremely misogynistic culture on the planet, which is Islam, I can understand. But wee Nippy, the alleged lesbian, who's saying that she's hard done by, I'm a lesbian woman. Oh man, I'm dead hard done by the patriarchy. Well, being the First Minister of Scotland, I have zero respect for.
The Turkish. And I found that statement so problematic. As if
It's probably problematic considering they killed all the Christians.
you can be a feminist if you're living in certain parts of the world, because
Well, you can't do it in Saudi because they would take you out and stone you to death, or put you in prison, or kill you, or do anything else. Wee Nippy thinks she's a feminist living in Scotland as First Minister and feeling hard done by. Fake nationalist.
those parts of the world have issues with gender equality. But
Islam is an issue with gender equality because Islam is a misogynistic culture, massively misogynistic. So yeah, difficult to be a feminist when the men will kill you. Wee Nippy thinks she's a feminist when she's the First Minister of Scotland.
we in some other parts of the world, we're so over these concerns. And I think in some ways maybe
You'll go to jail if you take your hijab off in Saudi or Iran. So being a feminist over there has got a bit of respect. Wee Nippy being a feminist just means she's a white man hater, which it shows in her policies.
Trump and lots of other populist demagogues have opened up
Populist demagogues, and you come from Turkey, are you having a laugh? Are you honestly having a laugh?
a new awareness. Maybe there's more of us right now who is aware of the fact that the rights we take for granted.
Not being raped in a Turkish harem, not being killed and converted to Islam and then killed after fighting against your own people in Islam. All Albanians used to fight under Skanderbeg against the Turkish child rapists. And
Can be taken away, that nations can go backwards. And this is
the one.
the right time for maybe global feminism, global activism.
Communism, is that what you're activating for? Yeah, no thanks.
But I also want
100
to
million people have died under communism, 290 to 300 million under Islam.
ask, what do you think we should do differently? What are the things we were not able as feminists?
Educate yourself. Stop calling yourself a feminist in the West, because it just means you're a man-hater.
As people who
Not had any children. This is the difficulty. We've got lesbian, feminist, men-hating misandrists in charge like Wee Nippy,
believe in
who's
gender
not had any children, and our only solution is to replace our population.
equality. Is there anything that we should be
Equality, you're sitting talking to the First Minister of Scotland about equality. Are you kidding on?
doing differently right now at this stage in time?
I think I would say two things. Firstly,
Nicola's oppressed. Oh my God. Nicola's oppressed. Oh, she's trying to bring in putting people in prison for 7 years for hurty feelings, but Nicola's oppressed. Oh my God, I'm really struggling to get my sympathy out there for Wee Nippy.
and I feel this is
Do you feel things? Oh, Nicola, I love your feelings. Oh,
a woman in a
do you feel as a woman? Oh, and as a lesbian?
Western democracy where
Western, where you're one of the leaders.
there can often be a sense that we're over that. The battle for women's equality.
The battle for women's equality.
Equality has been won. So
As the first leader of Scotland.
why do we need to still be having these arguments? I think
And because you're a lesbian and you hate men and you've not produced any children.
we need to reach out much more and to draw the connections between the women here in Edinburgh and the women in Istanbul.
Completely different. Women in Istanbul live under a child rapist death cult which oppresses women. You, as the First Minister of Scotland, are not oppressed, and the fact that you're even drawing comparisons is absolutely disgusting. You are a horrible wee individual.
At a very practical day-to-day level, those challenges are very, very different.
Yeah,
but they
exactly.
have their roots in the same issues. So I think
the roots are in the fact Islam is a highly misogynistic culture. The fact is that you're the First Minister of Scotland, so don't even draw comparisons.
Global solidarity and global dialogue would be the first
Global
thing.
dialogue, you're trying to import Muslims who are, through the Sun and the Express articles, raping children, and you're not even putting them in jail because you brought in a Muslim Justice Secretary who's now saying that there's too many white people in Scotland.
Second thing, and I speak, I suppose, very much from the perspective of Scotland and the UK here, and it will be true in other...
You don't speak for the UK, you're meant to be a Scottish nationalist, so you don't speak for the UK, you only speak for Scotland. I don't even think you speak for Scotland.
Countries like us. I think we have to, and this is why Heather's work is so hugely important,
because she's another communist like you.
to reach across the generations.
Yeah.
Is that, but not across the genders?
The genders.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. You don't speak for me.
I had a conversation with a young man a couple
Did he say, Nicola, you're a misandrous lesbian?
of weeks ago, 19 years old, lovely young man. I'm not going to say who he is, but it's a young man.
Yeah, you're just trying to project here the fact that you find a 19-year-old man lovely being a lesbian.
And I'm very fond of. It's somebody I know
Yeah, but not sexually fond though.
very well, and very progressive liberal attitude.
Progressive. Well, progressive and liberal. I'm a liberal. Progressivism is Marxism, so it depends on what you want to do. What do you want to do? Do you want to be a progressive and a Marxist, or do you want to be a liberal?
And everything else, and had a conversation with him about feminism.
Did you? Well, that's Marxism now. We're back to Marxism. If you're talking about feminism and women should have equality, that's liberal. If you're talking about the new form of feminism, that's Marxism. BLM, the actual organisation, Marxist. Antifa, anarcho-communist and anarcho-syndicalist, Marxist. So what do you want to do? What are we talking about?
And he articulated to me his view of feminism.
He said there's a lot of lesbians who are men-hating lesbians like yourself, Nicola, who hate men, have got a thing called penisophobia. A lot of heterosexual women have got that as well. And the only option for you is to be part of the globalist shill. Globalist shill, where you want to get 20 unelected commissioners dictating our legislation rather than being a democracy with Westminster. And that's about it, isn't it?
From the perspective of a young man growing up today. And
yeah, well, he's been indoctrinated, and I think this is something that young men have got to watch against, and the fact of being indoctrinated by lesbian women who are trying to les up heterosexual women.
his view was very much that, well, women have equal rights.
Well, you may have guessed that by you being the First Minister, but I'm not quite sure. You might have just thought that you were just a globalist shill.
And sometimes it now feels to me as a young man that feminism is about, trying to undermine my rights.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exact. And that young 19-year-old guy is exactly right. And you're the lesbian allegedly personification of somebody trying to do that. And he's completely right. That young guy should actually just say, if that's one of your nephews or nieces, Auntie Nicola, why are you such a cunt?
Now, that's just not how. But if
yes,
that,
it is. He's right. He's right, Nicola. The only delusion is in your brain. He's completely right. You are a horrible wee nasty person. You are a man-hating, horrible wee nasty individual. You're a globalist shill. You're trying to depopulate the West by your lesbianism to promote homosexuality at the expense of heterosexuality, while at the same time you've never had any children. So you've contributed nothing in the fact of being able to reproduce our society. And that's it.
was coming to me from him as a young man today, then that says...
Yeah, and he sounds like a very intelligent individual, and it's because of you that he thinks like that.
We've still got a lot of work to do, and we've probably...
No, the work is to get rid of you. You're the problem. You are... And this is the thing that I've had to readjust, because I'm very pro-LGBT. Up to a point, but the fact is that you have not reproduced, you've not had any children, you've not done anything, and all your legislation has been anti-people, authoritarian anti-people. You're a horrible wee character. You're a Marxist.
We've got to think about how we do that now across the generations. And
no, it's just getting rid of you. You're the problem, Nicola. The fact is, you've got no self-realisation that you're the problem.
The genders, even here at home.
I know. Nicola's really hard done by. First Minister of Scotland, oh my God, she's so hard done by. Maybe we've got some ointment that we can actually spread on you to get away the hard done byness.
So those would be the two things. Whether it involves doing things differently, I'm not sure, but the things that I would think we need to think about afresh today.
Resigning, Nicola, that's what you need to think about.
Absolutely. I think you had a similar concern, because when I look at the anthology, the diversity of voices, how did you choose the people who...
She probably chose them all as communists, so that she could actually promote a Marxist / socialist ideology that's held Scotland back for generations.
Who wrote for this book?
We were kind of aware that there's been a lot of collections, and there's...
Why did you look at Nicola? Is Nicola supporting you? Is this part of an LGBT thing?
A risk of it being an echo chamber if you just...
Yeah. Thank you, God. A total echo chamber.
The same people talking about the same...
In fact, you have to get the police for me to ask questions to actually escort me away. Oh, that's incredible, isn't it? Oh, no, I know. You wouldn't want any dissenting voices.
Kind of things. So we had an open call for submissions.
Yeah,
so
I'll give you some submissions.
We had a mix, just people kind of flooded us with submissions, and we were trying to get a big range of voices, because as you said, people need to experience other people's lives. And I think there's a quote, it's something like, when you've had privilege, equality feels like you're having something taken away from you. And that's...
When you've had privilege, equality seems like... So you've got a woman who's a lawyer, and now the first Minister of Scotland. And I don't know what you do. You're an author and she's an author. So equality feels like something's been taken away from you. Carry on.
What we want to do is actually show why people still need equality. Is going... Laura and myself are aware that we're two fairly privileged...
But what's equality? Does that mean, Nicola, so I've got little money, because obviously I was held for 2 years allowed to starve on the streets in a Muslim country. So does that mean Nicola Sturgeon's going to give me half her money to achieve this money equality? Is it only equality when it affects you positively?
Privileged white women, so we were like, ironic as I said with the microphone.
Privileged white women, it's 96%. They're all white there. Look at the state of that. That's all white. Everybody in the place, 96%. Humza Yusuf shouting, oh, I can't believe all these white people. It's 96% white, and these are communist talking points.
In front of a crowd, but it wasn't like about our story. But like, yeah. And we actually wanted to find people, even though we commissioned it, we learned a lot along the way. And we're like, if we can...
Is that? Did you learn that Nicola Sturgeon has to give up half her income to me to actually get equality?
Learn, and we're actually actively seeking it. And then imagine what this can do for someone who this is their first kind of glimpse at feminism.
Yeah, they'll probably use it as toilet paper.
So that's what we hope to do, because echo chambers benefit no one on either side.
Yeah, I've already been cancelled on LinkedIn, Facebook. I've been suspended on Twitter. So let's not talk shit.
Absolutely. And that's probably going to be one of our biggest challenges.
One of your biggest challenges is the fact that you're in an Islamic child rapist death cult country, and they hate women. So that's one of your biggest challenges.
We speak to people who are not necessarily part of our own echo chamber.
Yeah, you do only talk to your own echo chamber. That's why it's like a wanking festival.
But I was reading your statements about Chechnya, and
is it another Muslim invaded country by the child rapist death cult?
Persecution of sexual minorities.
I don't know. Is that by the Muslims again? The Muslims always persecute minorities once they get in charge.
And these are very, very difficult issues.
Yeah, you don't identify them and you don't address them properly. If you don't identify that Islam's a child rapist death cult, then there's not really much else to talk about.
For many political leaders, not only political leaders.
Wee Nippy's going off the minarets if she's a lesbian.
I think many people who have global...
globalist ambition. That's what Nippy's got. I think she thinks she's going to be protected class under the globalist agenda of ethically cleansing the indigenous population and joining up to the EU, the first step in the one world government. Fake nationalists. We'll find out in a minute.
Messages, global ties, they don't want to talk about these issues such as...
Yeah, well, we're a bit worried about your global ties. We've seen the papacy is down with the through the Catholic Herald. It seems like there's a lot of child rapists as priests, and the fact is that they're down now talking to an ideology that is a child rapist for a profit.
Human rights, freedom of speech.
Yeah, there's no human rights in Islam.
In the name of not upsetting, and I admire the fact that you were able to do that. There's a part of me that very strongly believes women's rights movement needs to go hand in hand with LGBT rights. We're all...
So women and homosexual, well, you're talking to the right, if she's a lesbian then you're probably talking to the right person there. Yeah. So, but I mean, this is intersectionality, which was because obviously they found out that 100 million people had died under Marxism in the Frankfurt School before the National Socialists kicked out the Frankfurt School. We went to the University of Columbia, and it spread like a cancer, an ideological cancer throughout the USA. And now we've got a bunch of twats in Portland trying to burn down the police houses, where we've got wee Nippy as an alleged lesbian feminist who's the First Minister of Scotland, saying she's hard done by with a Muslim child covering up from a child rapist, where there's like children who have had 28 Muslim sexual partners. The Justice Minister is covering up, and anybody that wants to speak against that is going to be hate speech, who are going to get 7 years in jail. Oh, come on!
In this together, and in countries like Turkey, that's the connection that we have lost.
It's called Byzantine. Turkey, I think, is in Turkmenistan, which is Central Asia.
Very sadly, sometimes women can take part in the perpetuation of these gender.
Yeah, because certain women are Islamists, and they see that misogyny, a proper misogyny in steroids. Shut up, we're going to cut your clitoris off, get your hijab on, shut the fuck up.
How do we deal with that? I mean, how do we deal with the values that we internalize?
You don't have the same values unless you're a communist, so wee Nippy might be a communist. You might have human rights in Turkey. I don't know if you're one of the people who were taken from Europe and raped over there. You're not you personally, but your ancestry. It's just absolutely incredible.
It's one thing when somebody tells you you can't, you don't have an equal voice, but it's quite another thing, and maybe much more difficult to dismantle when we ourselves put that kind of pressure on ourselves. I'm just curious. Do you catch yourself doing that?
Oh, wee Nippy wants to actually censor anybody who doesn't agree with her speech. Oh, come on. She wants to actually, white males, only white males, oh, I'm a lesbian, allegedly, oh, all those white males are all bastards. I'd like to know what Nicola Sturgeon's agenda is for increasing the indigenous Scottish birth rate.
To yourself, judging yourself through a more male filter, yeah.
Well, she probably does that because she's an alleged lesbian.
Probably over the last few years, actually, I've become conscious of, the way I behaved when I was a much younger woman
in the gay bars,
politics, and looking back on it.
I don't think you've changed at all. I think you're the same individual.
As a young woman in politics, even more so than is the case today.
Well, did you know you were going to stab your mentor in the back, in the front, when you were a young woman in politics? Was that one of your aspirations?
I would be surrounded most of the time by, no offence to anybody in this audience who's about to fall into the category I'm going to describe, middle-aged white men.
Middle-aged white men. Oh my goodness. Oh, what you should do, listen, I've got an idea. Listen, Nicola. Listen to this. I think you should make legislation against middle-aged white men and call it hate speech. And then you can put them in jail for 7 years. And then what? Listen, I've got another idea. Listen to this. It's all coming out just now. I think the middle-aged white man that mentored you to get to the First Minister, I think you should make up false sexual allegations against him, get him in jail, humiliate, get him in court, humiliate him, and then refuse to actually give the documentation for his tribunal to actually see what actually happened there, Nicola. I think you should do that. I think you should be such an ungrateful little shit that's what you should do. Fucking bitch.
And unconsciously and unknowingly at the time,
I think you knew. I think you're a spiteful little shit of a woman. I think you're a spiteful little shit. That's what I think you are. I think you're a calculated little shit.
I guess behave in a way that
behave in a way that I dislike. Oh, I don't like this. Some guy said something nasty to me that I didn't like, and I think we should put him in jail for 7 years. Oh, and I think anybody that upsets me, they're really nasty, and let's put them in jail.
About conforming and fitting in to the people I was surrounded by, and that
probably all lesbians and feminists and Marxists and a bunch of shits
was reflected, I guess, in how I chose to dress as a young woman.
As a lesbian
in politics, how I behaved, and in politics that means
as a lesbian feminist, Marxist.
If you're trying to fit into how the men around you are behaving,
I don't think you fitted into the men at all. I thought that you might have actually been quite a good prodigy for Alex Salmond. Alex Salmond must be kicking himself to know that you are such a little shit that he brought through.
Then that means you become, adversarial and.
Nobody's interested in you being adversarial. The fact is that you're a Marxist little shit, self-entitled little pain in the arse.
Dare I say it, aggressive in how you.
You're not aggressive. You're an asshole.
Pursue and articulate your argument.
You've not articulated nothing. When people look back on the history of you being in power for the last period of time, nobody's going to say, "Oh, Nicola Sturgeon really articulated really well. Oh, she was great." They're going to look at your track record and it's abysmal. Abysmal.
It's as the men around you do.
I know, but they've all been better than you, Nicola. The men around you, the men that preceded you, have been better than you. And I don't like the Labour Party as a general rule of thumb, although I'm from a left-wing background. They're not the ones now knowing their history like you, but I mean, they're all globalists, so we'll come to that later on.
But here's the real nub, and
you're the nub.
Here's the trap for women.
Oh, the trap for women. Oh, the trap for women. Oh, they're so suppressed. Oh my God. Oh, you're talking about women that are going to jail for taking their scarf off their head. Oh my goodness. And you're allowing Muslims to rape children in Scotland and kill people. Oh no. But you're feeling really oppressed, Nicola. I'm really sorry. Listen, as a guy, I'm really, really sorry. Oh, unbelievable.
You find yourself emulating the traits that in men are seen as strengths, but then you quickly realise
you're a lesbian feminist. You're already overly emasculated.
In women, these things are not seen as strengths. So
I see. So women don't see the things in men that are strengths. They think it's a counter strength. I see.
The male politician who's very assertive and aggressive and adversarial is a great, strong leader.
Yeah. No, that's not what makes a great, strong leader, Nicola. What makes a great, strong leader is correct policy, which you have been short on.
Women is bossy and strident.
It's not the fact you're bossy and strident. The fact is you're making mistakes and you're actually a Marxist by your policy. And that's what I understand that probably a lot of other people don't.
SNP sweetie is what they used to call me.
And I think that's absolutely spot on. I actually call you wee nippy because of the fact that you are a wee nippy. I don't call any of the other men. I think Alex Salmond, although he had these flaws as a person, he wasn't as bad as you. You have proven to be not competent. I don't think every woman is not competent. Just you. No, not just you. but the fact is you represent the incompetence of somebody who's an intelligent woman.
And, you know,
you're not a wee nippy sweetie, you're an authoritarian Marxist, that's what you are. And that's why people don't like you, because they might put it down to you being a wee snippy sweetie, but you're an authoritarian Marxist.
So you quickly realise that you're in this double bind. In order to be taken seriously,
No, in order to be taken seriously, you get good policy. You don't follow Karl Marx.
Think you have to behave like the majority around you, which happens to be men.
Nobody's asking for that. Nobody's asking. What we're asking for is good policy, Nicola.
But you're actually undermining, as you do that, how you are perceived. And, you know, if you ask me, and to sum up a very complex question, how will I, as a woman, and obviously my experience is politics, but this will apply across a range of different fields, how will we know that we have succeeded in some of these battles?
You're not, when they write your history, you're going to know that you did not succeed as a First Minister. Let me tell you, and it's difficult for me to quantify, because you are an intelligent woman. Any woman that's been, or any individual, because I've had friends who are lawyers as well, that's gone to Glasgow Uni and done law, is an intelligent woman. But it just shows to me that there's a difference between academic intelligence and political intelligence, and you don't have the political intelligence. They're going to look back in your track record, Nicola, and say, what did you do? What is your big achievement? Fucking baby boxes. Oh.
Are behind now. There's lots of practical ways that we will have to judge that, but above all,
they're not going to listen. You've been very successful and this is the thing about intersectionality and judging people on what they look like or what's between their legs or their melanoma count. You're then not judging people on, and it then stops being a meritocracy. And I mean, obviously, from your background, you would have thought you would have done very well, but it just shows you. I mean, even Joanna Cherry, she's shit as well, and she's very intelligent like you. Two allegedly, well, one definitely a lesbian feminist, and another lesbian, two Marxists. Oh, we're all international and all that. Two globalist shills, as far as I can see.
It's when women can succeed by being.
Women can succeed. Oh my God, you're so hard done by, Nicola. Oh, I can't believe you became a lawyer and First Minister, and I can't believe that the patriarch is holding you back. Oh my God. Oh, it's unbelievable. Listen, I'm nearly going to cut my penis off and call myself Daphne because I feel so insulted by my gender for them holding you back, Nicola, even though you've been shit.
Not by trying to be somebody else or conform, because we're all
conforming.
Different.
What are you conforming to? Marxism?
We're the same. So when we concede by just being ourselves and playing to.
Oh, being yourself? What? Being a lesbian and kidding on you in a sham marriage? Is that you being yourself, is it, Nicola? Sounds like you're increasingly authoritarian. It seems like the Marxism has been co-opted by the corporatist globalists. Three different agendas here, guys. The corporatist globalists are corrupting Marxism. That's why the Democrats are not calling out Antifa, who are a terrorist organisation, and Islam, again, because all of the three are globalists. Like wee Nippy is a globalist, not a nationalist for the corporatist globalists. She is a globalist shill.
Our strengths and acknowledging our own weaknesses, and I don't quite think we're there yet.
We're not there yet.
Oh, no. Listen, ladies, this must be, it's really tough. I mean, honestly, I can't believe how tough you must have had your lives. I mean, honestly, I would like you to spend two days in mine.
But what about the
my shoots?
Generation? Does it affect younger people in the same way?
I think it can be more basic things. So I know as a teenager and a lot of my friends...
Yeah, more basic things because you don't have anything. That's it. It's not more basic, it's you don't have any problems.
The same, we considered ourselves like one of the guys, and we would go watch sport and we'd act and we'd be like...
Oh my God, that sounds really tough. That sounds, I mean, honestly, women are going to jail for taking their hijab off to not follow the child rapist death cult. But I mean, if you've got to pretend to be one of the guys, I can't believe that. I feel incredibly devastated for you.
Would not be like other girls, and actually that seems quite a flippant thing, but the kind of undertone of that is that certain types of women you don't want to be like. And actually, when I
Nicola Sturgeon
started working in publishing, there's an all-women Facebook group, and actually
I've been banned from Facebook. Apparently, if you don't like what I say, then the Jews in Silicon Valley are going to ban you.
A supportive group of women, you don't realise the difference of actually going, you can act like a guy, you can like sport, whatever. But actually,
well, I think the lesbians can act like a guy pretty well.
You don't realise how supportive that is until you've got it, because I think there's a lot of kind of, it's just more day to day. You don't realise that flippancy, the actual undertones can be a kind of almost anti-feminist thing. Going,
hate to be anti-Marxist. Wait till Islamists come over here. The way that we nippies importing the Muslim child rape gangs, Islam is the most misogynistic thing that you're ever going to find. If you think you're hard done by now, you wait till she gets the fucking Muslims in here. Are you kidding on? Oh, these white guys. Oh, I can't believe these. Some guy said, it's I don't even know what to say because I'm so hard done by.
Like them, but then what does that actually mean?
Nothing you've said means anything. I've just wasted 19 minutes actually listening to your waffle. The Turkish woman who is in a country that follows a child rapist death cult has got more to complain with you two.
I don't really know how to answer that, but
exactly, because you don't have an answer, because you're completely free to do what you want in this country. We Nippy will probably give you some vague reason that she's oppressed.
Start to see it everywhere and try teach nieces and all that. Don't do that. Be who you want.
Oh, don't do that. Do that. Oh yeah, that's what happens when the communists take over. They then thought police you, tone police you, word police you. Oh yeah, don't do this, don't do that. Piss off.
Don't change it, but I don't know how you actually get that to people who aren't aware.
Yeah,
that they're doing that.
I think it's very important to talk about these issues because there's so many things we do unknowingly.
Subconscious bias. Oh, I know, unknowingly. I can't believe that. Maybe women want to have more children. Maybe that's something they knowingly could do, so that we don't actually have a declining birth rate. How about that, Nicola? How about that, you wee lesbian?
Being aware of it, we internalize so much.
I've internalized all the feelings.
Look at, particularly in much more patriarchal sexist
I like Islam, child rapist death cult
countries.
Yeah, Byzantine, Constantinople.
And Turkey is one of them.
Yeah, that's right. It's a child rapist death cult country.
I look at the women, the very
don't worry, we Nippy will import them all over here so she can packed out the men.
The women who can exist in the public space have to
I've been banned from the public space, so the Jew, what's his name, Zuckerberg, has banned me from his public space. I don't know who's running LinkedIn. He banned me, and that Jack Dorsey, he's banned me as well. Apparently I'm not allowed to speak.
Defeminize themselves, desexualize.
Desexualized. Right, so I've got to become asexual for you lesbian feminists. Wait a minute, I'll just get rid of all my sexuality so that I don't upset the lesbos. Unsexual, I don't want to have a penis. Let me cut my penis off and call myself a trans guy, woman. They'll share my safe spaces. Piss off. I'm actually starting to think Islam might be the right way forward. Let's actually just become misogynistic, then they'll find out what's happening. Get the lesbos off the thingies, minarettes. Let's get the heterosexual women.
Because we associate lots of things with weakness.
Yeah, feminism.
Even colours, wearing, more colours we associate with weakness. And I catch myself doing that all the time. Over the years, I was never able to wear colourful dresses. My children always make...
It sounds really suppressive under an Islamofascist government.
Fun of my wardrobe. They open it and they say black, 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 grey.
Is that because women are suppressed under Islam?
Black, black, grey. Why is it like that?
because Islam's a suppressive culture for women, and wee Nippy's laughing there, although 3 people have been killed in Glasgow by wee Nippy's multiculti ideology, because she's a globalist shill, and she wants to import it over here so that we all get suppressed over here as well. So wee Nippy, the wee mad lesbian, might be popped off one of the minarets. And what else is going to happen? That's why, because Islam is a very misogynistic culture. It might actually work for me, so I might actually just join in. I might be wee Nippy's last chance not to get popped off the minaret. She's 2 Pakistani guys in the Scottish Parliament saying there's too many white people.
And I spent my childhood...
Not that that's racist or nothing.
In Spain, I would admire
in Scotland, too many white people, 96% white, too many white people in Scotland, and wee Nippy never even called them out. 3 people murdered, white people murdered in Glasgow by a Muslim child rapist terrorist, and wee Nippy never called it out.
Women who were so at peace, in their bodies with their dresses.
Yeah, because they're probably all bundled up with their clutches cut off, as it says in Islam.
Scottish women are not quite like that yet.
Yeah, well, especially not the lesbians.
So these things are very slow to change.
Yeah,
it's very slow in Islam, because Islam is a repressive, misogynistic culture, unlike Scotland. Just come to 6 guys. Carry on. I'll get strawberries.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
It's fascinating. You come from the very patriarchal society.
Yeah.
You talk.
Yeah, Islam, which you're trying to import over here. With 2 Pakistani Muslim guys now in Parliament saying there's too many white people in a predominantly white culture, which I'm sure there's not very many white atheists in the Pakistani Parliament. I think maybe that's a good idea.
I guess I hope I'm not speaking out of turn.
You always speak out of turn, Nicola. You just talking for the last 10 years has been you speaking out of turn. 2 minutes. Carry on, Nicola, carry on.
Women's rights are not anywhere near as advanced as they are here.
Yeah, but you're trying to import a culture that you obviously know by you saying that, you obviously know that Islam doesn't have that. You've already allowed people here through your multiculturalist globalist agenda. You've allowed people here who have killed and raped non-Muslims, and you've allowed that to happen because you're ideologically driven by you shilling for the globalists while you were over at the the Committee for Foreign Relations.
Multiple challenges. You're also a writer that has challenged the establishment and the system. You went through a period of fearing imprisonment because of what you
fearing imprisonment. Oh, and you must have it so hard over here. All those misogynist men in Scotland must be nearly wanting to imprison you, especially for you actually trying to criminalise them and put them in jail for 7 years.
Writing being seen as anti-Turkish. So we
talk it's not
here
anti-Turkish. It's anti-Islamic, Nicola. Get it right? Anti-Islamic. I've tried to explain this to you. You're not listening. It's Islam that's the issue.
As women about having to deal with the continued battle for women's equality, but
there's no women's equality in Islam.
In Turkey, you're not just battling for that; you're battling for free speech and the ability.
Yeah, just like we will be doing in Scotland under your rule, you wee cow.
To express yourself. How do you cope with all of that and kind of make a sort of coherent sense of it?
Yeah. You've obviously imported it and thought it was a good idea and decided to actually do it in Scotland.
Yeah, I often feel like being a Turkish writer, it's a bit like being slapped on one cheek and being kissed on the other cheek at the same time.
Is it? Well, you're lucky it's not getting gangbanged like they did in the the Turkish harems.
Time, because from the readers you get such a warm, positive, inspiring energy. And I'm saying this because ironically in countries like Turkey where there is no freedom of speech,
Yeah, just like Scotland apparently, under wee nippy.
perhaps books matter even more, you know, and books do not evaporate as fast. And the book is not a personal item. You read it and you pass it on, and then that person passes it
They
on.
can, is it? Aye. And then your sons read it and they say, yeah, get this bitch in the hijab.
And that's amazing to see how one single copy is shared by at least
Yeah, the whole community. And then they become indoctrinated.
6 or 7 different people. So that's very
A bit like Nicholas tried to do with homosexuality.
precious for me. But the other side is incredibly suffocating because
Islam doesn't respect women, wants to cut their clitorises off, puts them in bin bags, tells them not to speak, treats them as second class citizens. If you're gangbanged, then you have to have 4 male witnesses. What else do you want to know?
people don't understand that art needs imagination needs freedom.
Yeah, well, you're not going to get freedom under Islam. It's a authoritarian political ideology as well as religion, which wee Nippy seems to want to embrace because she's a wee authoritarian lesbian who doesn't like to have any hurty feelings and saying anything bad about her.
Of speech, they don't understand all of these things, and politics very much dominates everything. When
Yeah, well, I guess if you
I first
came from a culture that's eliminated its other culture, then that's potentially what's happening.
to the UK, it's been more than 7 years now. I remember, maybe it wasn't around that time, a bit later, Hilary Mantel in one of her interviews, she made some critical remarks about either the monarchy.
Oh God, critical remarks. That's going to be haram against the dear leader there, wee Nippy.
And I remember feeling paralysed, thinking, what's going to happen to her now?
Probably 7 years in jail, like wee Nippy wants to do to white guy.
Is she going to be sued? Is she going to be put on trial? You know,
Just the front page of the Daily Mail, probably.
Yeah, oh, the Daily Mail. Oh. You're wanting to put people in jail for 7 years for you getting your hurt. You're feeling something, you wee cow.
Of course.
Because we have in Turkey this Article 301 which protects Turkishness against insults, even though nobody...
Is Islam against insults? Because obviously you've slaughtered 1.3 million Christian Armenians, parked out all the Greeks who were there a lot longer than you, and turned one of the churches into a child rapist death cult church, mosque, should I say, and just really not very nice people.
Nobody knows what that means. It's so vague. So whereas what happened here is, of course, she got all kinds of criticism, remarks, positive and negative, but that's about it. So what I'm trying to say is we're dealing with a very different environment in Turkey, and I think women find it
Is that Islamic? Is that the environment you're looking for? It's an Islamic environment.
Because patriarchal societies, and
which is Islam.
I think they're all connected as nationalists.
No, it's not all connected. Islam is completely different to Western not patriarchal. I mean, we've got a female queen, we had a female prime minister, we've got a female first minister. She's shit. I don't know if you want to talk to her.
Increases, authoritarianism increases.
Yeah, well, you want to talk to wee Nippy about being authoritarian.
Islamism increases,
very misogynistic.
Sexism and misogyny also increase.
Well, Nippy's a misandrist, so men hatred obviously works both ways.
They go hand in hand. And I think it's difficult for
men and women hatred, sorry.
Of course, but much more difficult for younger women.
Oh, I know, it's fucking tough. Oh my God. Oh, being a young woman. Oh my God. They're overrepresented in university here. Overpaid. It must be really tough. I'd like to compare life stories, and I'll compare my life story to any young woman, or even wee Nippy.
Maybe age helps in that regard.
They then become bitter and twisted like this lesbian catwoman.
Patriarchal societies respect matriarchs. Mm-hmm. You know, it's at least in the...
The matriarchs in Islamic society back up the Islamists to suppress the young women, to keep them in line.
in the private space. But for younger women, the challenge is enormous.
Oh, no, I bet it is. I bet you getting their clitoris cut off, getting put in bin bags, forced into marriage with their cousins. Oh, it must be torture. That's what me Nippy wants to bring over here.
I don't know how you feel about when you observe the changes.
They don't even know. Neither of those two have been oppressed, and all of those two are just a couple of whingers. What they want to do is follow you back to Turkey and find out what a misogynistic society actually is.
World. There are people who are saying we have made so much progress.
Well, not in Islam, no.
And many others are saying
we Nippy's still complaining, so it just shows you that women can complain even if they're First Minister.
The progress is in fact so limited.
Yeah, I think for some people obviously changes will happen, but that's kind of what we wanted to do with the book was actually for example, Trump made the joke.
Trump's so bad. Oh, Trump.
Apparently about the Muslim ban when he was...
Yeah, well, no wonder, because he obviously understands it more than you, because I bet you've never even fucking read it.
Yeah.
Campaigning, and actually people were like joking to some people we know going, oh, Trump's going to ban you from the country, and actually...
Ban who?
One of the essays by Ziba Tokani writes about that as being a Muslim
who follows a child rapist death cult, which this lady has just spent the last half hour complaining about the fact that she stays in a patriarchal system where they cut off women's clitorises, put them in bin bags, after them getting raped they actually stone them to death. What bit are you not understanding?
Muslim women, and a lot of stuff that she's experienced living across the world.
And no, it must be so hard. Oh, look somewhere else.
Is editing it. He tried to put the Muslim ban into place, and actually...
Quite right, it's a child rapist death cult. What bit are you not getting?
Actually, from the outside, a lot of people were just like, that's...
Oh, a lot of people who have never read the Quran and don't know what Islam means are like, oh, that's really bad. I'm taking the moral high ground here. I've never read it, but I've got a big point to make. I think they should be let in. I think we should let in Nazis and communists as well. Idiots. 290 million people have died under Islam over the last 1400 years. The East African slave trade, where they used to cut black men's balls off so they were actually knackered. The white slave was done by the Turks as well. The Slavs were made slaves by the Turks as well. And the transatlantic slaves with the Muslims were involved in that as well. Carry on.
That's fine, that's not actually going to happen. But we
I know.
It's the actual reality of someone who lives with this stuff. So I don't